It was a cold winter morning on January 28, 1986. The sky was overcast, and the wind bit through the Florida air as thousands gathered at Kennedy Space Center to witness history in the making. For months, the excitement had been building. The mission was a milestone in many ways. The first civilian astronaut, Christa McAuliffe, a teacher, was set to fly aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger. She was not just representing her own dreams but the dreams of millions of schoolchildren across America. It was supposed to be a celebration of education and the triumph of human exploration. But what was meant to be a moment of national pride would soon become a tragedy that would reverberate across the world. The Challenger had been carefully prepared for its launch, with every detail scrutinized by engineers, mission planners, and astronauts. Yet, no amount of preparation could predict the catastrophic chain of events that would unfold within seconds. As the clock ticked down to zero, the countdown was loud, precise, and filled with anticipation. The Space Shuttle Challenger, carrying 7 astronauts, including Christa McAuliffe, slowly began its ascent into the vast expanse of space. But just 73 seconds after liftoff, something went horribly wrong. A massive explosion erupted in the sky, engulfing the shuttle in a cloud of fire and debris. In an instant, the dreams of a nation and the hopes of 7 brave souls were shattered. The Challenger had disintegrated, its remnants falling into the cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean. The crowd, initially cheering with excitement, was now eerily silent. The families of the astronauts watched in horror as the shuttle's debris scattered in the sky, their hearts sinking as the realization hit. The unthinkable had just happened. The aftermath was a world in shock. Television screens across America and soon the globe broadcasted the haunting images of the disaster. The nation, which had once been so proud of its space program, now grappled with an unimaginable loss. 7 astronauts had perished, their dreams of exploration snuffed out in an instant. Christa McAuliffe, the teacher who had inspired millions, was gone. Her students, who had eagerly awaited her lessons from space, were left with an empty promise. But what went wrong? How did the unthinkable happen to the pride of the U.S. space program? The truth was that, beneath the surface of meticulous planning and preparation, there were cracks in the system. Cracks that would be exposed in the wake of the disaster. Engineers and technicians had been warning about the dangers of launching the Challenger in such cold temperatures. The O-rings, critical seals that held parts of the shuttle together, were designed to withstand heat and pressure. But on that cold morning they became brittle, unable to do their job. When the shuttle's boosters ignited, the O-rings failed, allowing hot gas to escape and strike the side of the fuel tank. That gas was the catalyst for the catastrophic explosion that followed. In the days after the tragedy, the nation was left to mourn, but it was also left to reckon with the truth. The Challenger disaster wasn't just an accident, it was a failure of oversight, a failure to listen to the warnings, a failure of the very system that was supposed to protect the brave souls who put their lives on the line for human progress. The commission, led by William Rogers, would eventually uncover the truth, exposing the pressure to launch despite known risks and the internal struggles within NASA. It became clear that the decision to launch was not only a technical failure but a failure of leadership and accountability. The emotional toll of the disaster was felt far and wide. The families of the astronauts, especially Christa McAuliffe's family, became symbols of grief and strength. McAuliffe's mother, Grace Corrigan, would later reflect on the pain of losing her daughter in such a public way. "It was the worst thing that ever happened to me to see my daughter go up there and not come back," she said. Yet, despite the tragedy, she also expressed immense pride in her daughter's mission. Christa had touched the lives of so many, and her legacy, even in death, would continue to inspire future generations. The tragedy wasn't just about the loss of life, it was also about the loss of innocence. The space program, which had once seemed invincible, now appeared vulnerable. The confidence of a nation was shaken, and the dream of space exploration was no longer as certain as it had once seemed. But out of that darkness, a new determination was born. The United States would not abandon its dreams of space exploration. The lessons learned from the Challenger disaster would fuel changes in NASA's operations, safety protocols, and oversight. The space agency would rise from the ashes of its failure, albeit scarred but more determined than ever. In the months and years following the disaster, there was an outpouring of tributes to the astronauts, particularly Christa McAuliffe. Schools, scholarships, and even spaceships were named in her honor. The Space Shuttle program would eventually continue, but the memory of the Challenger disaster would always be with those who worked for NASA, and with the families who lost loved ones that day. The Challenger disaster was a pivotal moment in history, a moment when the world was forced to confront the risks and the human cost of exploration. It also highlighted the courage, dedication, and sacrifice of those who venture into the unknown. Christa McAuliffe's legacy, though tragically cut short, serves as a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge and the exploration of space requires an unwavering commitment to safety, to the people who make those journeys possible, and to the families who support them. As we look back on that fateful day, it is impossible to ignore the emotional weight that the Challenger disaster carries. It was a moment that shook the world, forever changing the way we think about space exploration. But it was also a moment that demonstrated the strength of the human spirit, the spirit that refuses to be defeated, no matter how devastating the loss. The lives of the 7 astronauts aboard the Challenger, along with Christa McAuliffe, will never be forgotten. Their sacrifice continues to inspire us to reach for the stars, to dream of new frontiers, and to never give up, even in the face of the most unimaginable challenges. Their legacy lives on, not in the rubble of a destroyed shuttle, but in the hearts and minds of all those who continue to believe in the power of exploration, the pursuit of knowledge, and the boundless possibilities that await us beyond the stars. The Challenger disaster was a tragedy, yes, but it was also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the unyielding desire to reach for the unknown, no matter the cost. And in that sense, the mission was not a failure but a triumph. A triumph of hope, of determination, and of the courage to keep reaching for the stars.